Da-da, da, da-da. Welcome back to Healthy Living with Christina Sichangwa. Elated to be here as always, and like I've been saying a lot, new hair, new me. Other than that, I am again honored to be before you in this manner, and I'm about to enjoy the interaction we're about to have as always. But before we get into it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'd like to start off by I know I express my gratitude a lot because it's in my nature. I'm genuinely thankful for every manner of support I've received, and I'm grateful for even the strangers that stop me in the streets, like to thank me for, you know, taking the leap of faith and doing this. It's really encouraging, and it keeps me driven, right? So today I'd like to address one of the topics that was suggested in the survey, like one of the ones that hit really close to home, and that is overcoming getting over an absent parent. Okay, so this is very personal for me because I have shared on this platform that I both my biological parents are alive. I live with my mom and, you know, my 6 siblings, and my biological father is alive and somewhere out there in the world. Yeah, and I have, I think, talked about it here and there. So today I'll be going a little more in depth just to help that one person who has been struggling with dealing with having an absent parent. So number one, I would say it's not your fault. For me, this is the first thing I think I had to come to terms with, because growing up, when my parents split, I was really young, and I don't think I understood, especially for me. The funny thing is, like, the way you see me is legit how he looks. So I always felt like would have a greater bond because of that, because it would be like looking in the mirror. Whenever anyone would offend me, I'd write him like letters and stuff, and feel like if he were there, like everything would be different. And so, like, I had to kind of, I don't know, it felt like I rammed into a wall when I realized that it wasn't like it was circumstances beyond the person's control. They completely made a choice to be absent in my life. And I had to come to terms with that, as well as coming to terms with the fact that it had nothing to do with me. This person chose. They had the option of either being a present parent, and they chose to be absent. So it's not that I was a bad girl, or I didn't listen, I wasn't good at school. If I was a lot prettier, if I was born a boy, like, maybe these things would have made him stay. Either way, it literally has nothing to do with you. This is a decision that they made. I remember addressing this in a video I did, making difficult decisions, that the thing with a decision, because like our lives are a summation of our decisions, is you have to face the consequences. And them choosing to be absent means they missed out on a wonderful person that is you. So for me, another reason why I had to remind myself it's not my fault. I remember when this person pops up here and there every time I would get like an accolade. I made it, you know, from grade 7, whatever, grade 9, anytime something like that happens, for some funny reason, they know about it and they pop up and don't do anything either way. Anyway, my point is, when I was done with my grade 12 and I was going to university, the University of Zambia, I was awarded like a partial scholarship. So to a larger extent, my mom still had to cover like several bills. And I remember when we got there, like she had covered several bills, covered my boarding, but unfortunately I was lacking like one or two things, very small things, like, you know, books and a pen. And yeah, so I was, how was I going to write in class? And I mean, I was straight out of high school, so that's how we would learn. I never thought there were like other alternatives. And I remember this person called me like, oh, you come over to where I always hang out, and let me get you some of these things that you need. And honestly, I was relieved, because I didn't want to bring it up to my mom. She really did sacrifice a lot just for me to be where I was at the time, and I didn't want her to be affected over something as small as a book. So I go meet up this person, and I'm just seeing the sun is going down. Nothing has changed, and it was one story after the other. Like, even had the effrontery to take me into a store and, you know, like cause the scene and made it look like, you know, I'm just not gonna get anything from here because, you know, of the scene. To date, I don't even understand what happened. I just remember the realization when I was looking him like dead in the eye, and he didn't care. He didn't care that tomorrow I won't write. He didn't care if I ate the next day. It was all about him. All he wanted was to take me around his friends and show them that my daughter is at the University of Zambia. And I'll never forget how I felt going home that day. I was literally bawling on a bus, because it hit me like, this person, I don't know, they just keep choosing that this is all they want to be in my life. Like, they just want to tell people they have kids out there and that their kids are doing well in this and that manner. So it hit me like, you know, there's no, I've given that example because in the same way I said this, maybe if I was born a boy and whatever, in the same way, no matter how good I was, no matter what accolades I got, never changed the person, because they made the decision, right? So like I said, it's not your fault. Please don't take it personally. Number 2, the Bible tells us in John 14 that he was telling his disciples that I'm going to give you another counselor, and I will not leave you as orphans. That for me hits home, and it hit home even more because when I lost my stepdad, when my stepdad died in 2017, because that was like my father figure. He was the closest thing I had to a dad, and the most beautiful thing for me in every single person who's been there for me as a father figure is they chose to be that for me. So if I could just slightly digress, like, also, like, focus on the good that you have, those who've stepped up. For me, I've had my mentor in the Lord, Apostle Frederick. I've had my stepdad. I've also had my brothers, my elder brothers or younger brothers. It's been very fun recognizing the father figure in them and like leaning on that, so to speak. It's rather than me feeling like, oh my God, I just never had a dad, like, no. So like the Bible says, he doesn't leave us as orphans, and I believe this is one of the ways it manifests what I just said. Again, the Bible still tells us that God is the father to the fatherless. For me, I've learned it's built my relationship with God, because we do relate a lot as father and daughter. And I honestly had to learn, because I had never had a dad, so I had to learn, you know, like just having faith that he'll provide, having faith that he'll be there, being protected. And till date, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. So I'm not an orphan. It's not like I don't have a dad. The Lord is my father, and also in doing that, he's made a number of people in my life step up to the plate, and it's the most, I don't know, I don't even feel like I deserved it, but it's just God being God. So number 2, like I said, he will never leave you as an orphan. Number 3, forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation, and vice versa. Now, this is something I talked about in my video on reconciliation. I mentioned that yes, you forgive them without even having ever received the apology. Like I said, the nature of my absent parent is, no matter how much I have confronted him, no matter how much we've talked and whatnot, he sees no wrong in how he chose to live. The fact that he abandoned his kids and he's never done anything remotely to help out, like, I mean anything, not even emotional support, mental support, financial, nothing. Like, this person just thinks about themselves and how best that they can benefit. But I'm not mad. Like, I still do genuinely love him. I do wish him the best and all of that. Like, I had to learn, like, to forgive him without him ever apologizing for being absent and for the fact that he'll be absent for the rest of his life. But like I said, from the example I just gave, I was consistently putting myself in harm's way and getting hurt when I would expect from someone who's clearly shown me that he's never going to be there, right? So yeah, I love him and I care for him and I've forgiven him for having chosen the path. But I'm not naive in the sense that I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, like, maybe he'll step up to the plate. I'll give an example. I was getting married. Traditionally, in African tradition, you know, like, they have to see your father, you know, ask for his hand in marriage. I personally did not do that because he wasn't my father figure. So I felt like the power and the essence of the handover, even walking me down the aisle, no, he did not. I don't even think I invited him to the wedding, but I love him to bits and pieces. We talked about it even after, like, oh hi, oh you're married now, awesome. Like, but at the same time, I didn't feel like, why should I keep rewarding bad behavior? But that's just my nature. I always say on the channel, I don't have a fake bone in my body. So obviously it's not like it's been peachy, and after I've chosen this path, everyone is like, yeah girl, you go girl, you just, you know, do you. And no, obviously a lot of people have approached me and told me, listen, I still have a duty, I should, you know, I don't know, build him a house and all of that stuff. I just don't, I'm not a fan of rewarding bad behavior. That's the thing with me. Like, I still feel like, if anything, when I think about it logically, I strongly believe that this person had nothing but time to fend for themselves because they were not taking care of their kids. So I love him. We hung out. He's a cool guy. See him here and there. But other than that, like, I've had to keep my boundaries as they are. So I really believe healthy boundaries are one of the ways that, you know, they keep you enjoying your life. So like I said, imagine if I was so fixated because the whole world feels like, because this person biologically assisted in me coming on the earth, I should do all of these and these things just because tradition says so. I don't know, like, I feel like I would have been extremely unhappy. I would have been hurt, and I would have not enjoyed some of the most beautiful moments of my life with the people who were actually there for me. I'm grateful for who walked me down the aisle. Was actually one of my uncles, and I loved the moment. I loved the moment that I was leaning on him. I loved the moment when he gave me over, because this is someone who actually experienced life with me. So why would I miss out on that quality? And that was one of my favorite moments of my wedding, just to, like, keep up a certain appearance. So like I said, that forgiveness doesn't always mean you're going to be best friends. At the same time, it also doesn't always mean that this person may not want to genuinely build a relationship with you. Like I said, my case is different because he genuinely has chosen he wants to live a solo life. Like, he didn't have kids, and we're okay with that, but all adults now. But if your case is different, I honestly feel like it's really okay to start, you know, building a relationship. Of course, bearing in mind, like, you know, them boundaries, like I said, healthy boundaries. Lastly, I would say you are not who they are. For me, this was one of the things I really struggled with. I struggled with the thought of being a mom and feeling like, you know, I don't know, for the longest time, I feel like it was taught to us that it was almost genetic what he decided to do. The same way my mom decided to stay and take care of us and raise us, and it's like, okay, you know, that's what moms do. I struggled. I honestly just struggled with the thought, like, what if I turn out like him? I already look exactly like him. Like, you know, sometimes I'd laugh or say something and they're like, oh, you know, you sound just like your father and all of that stuff. Like, I don't know, I had to come to terms with the fact that yes, I may have his genetics and everything, but at the same time, I am me. I am who I am. And sometimes, honestly, when I do see him and I see him talk, I can see like, oh, we have very similar facial expressions. Even the way I talk with my hands or whatever is how he talks, and I just laugh about it and move on with my life. I had to decide, like, you know what, though he chose to live his life a certain way, I'm choosing that my life would turn out a certain way. I'll be very present in my children's life. I choose to be their parent so they're not who they are. Like, I feel like sometimes the scary part with having an absent parent is that you never really knew them, so you don't know. You just listen, it's just hearsay. People are telling you, oh, that temper is from that person, that like, no, that's not true. You can choose your own path, and I believe you will do better. I also believe I also believe in learning from your past experiences. So this experience, how I felt, what it did to me, what I had to recover through, taught me that it's not just about a person. Like, feeling like an orphan is not just when a person dies. It also taught me like you could be living in the same house with a parent and they're still completely absent. It taught me how much I should be present and there for my children in the way they want me to be there for them. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does to me. Anyway, so to whoever sent the question and to whoever relates to this, the thing with being in such a community is, whether it has happened to you or not, you know someone else it's happened to, and you also know you know someone else who's maybe raising a child now, like is a single parent, and they might be feeling the same things. I strongly suggest you share the video with them, and I hope you have been blessed.